Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a amazingly fun time. It is a roller coaster of a movie with thrills, chills, and spills galore. Now, while I will admit you don't get really kind of caught up in madness of the multiverse, it's more specifically the madness of one person in particular. Or should I say two people, as Strange finds himself protecting a young girl named America Chavez, who has the ability to punch literal holes through to the other realities. Strange has no choice but to protect her from being captured by a dark entity who wishes to use her powers for their own ends. So as Strange goes to these various different realities, he finds that in many of these realities, his life is even worse off than what he already has going on. Because the question that's always presented to Steven in a lot of situations is he happy? And the answer, more often than not, is no. Although, he'll lie to you and say, yes, of course, why wouldn't I be? I mean, in his home reality, he visits his old flame, Christy Palmer, at her wedding day, obviously regretting the fact that he was never able to make things work with her. A different version of himself was actually protecting America Chavez, only to ultimately decide that because she can't control her powers, he was going to siphon them from her, essentially doing the same thing to a certain degree that the person they were running from was trying to do. It went from protecting a young girl, an innocent young girl, to still trying to kill her because the moment you separate her from her powers, she dies. Which is funny because that Strange ends up dying himself. In another reality, he sees that, oh, this Strange died fighting off Thanos. Only to find out, no, that's a lie. That Strange got corrupted by the Darkhold and ultimately needed to be taken out by his allies because he created an incursion which would have caused two universes to crash into each other. And then in another reality, he comes face to face with a version of himself that has command over the Darkhold in a reality that is collapsing in on itself because of an incursion, which he even does battle with, which is so cool, which was particularly hilarious because they end up getting involved in a musical battle, which you need to see to believe. And ultimately, to overcome this evil, Strange uses the Darkhold in order to save America Chavez, actually channeling his consciousness into a dead version of himself, which is pretty metal as shit. And while he does end up helping to save the day, a little bit of that dark power still lingers within him, as shown with his weird third eye he gets. And by the end of things, because of his involvement with the multiverse, he ends up being called upon to help fix his mistakes. So I really do end up enjoying the journey that Strange goes on, because he ends up finding out that he just isn't in as much control as he wishes he was, and when he tries to force it, he actually makes things a bit worse. And that's something that a lot of people have kind of been calling out ever since No Way Home, is that maybe Strange isn't as together as people assume. There were all the theories that the Strange who was doing the spell for Peter was an imposter because it seems so odd for Strange to do, but I guess that to a certain degree that's kind of the point. Strange had become too haughty. He believed in himself a little too much, that he could kind of do no wrong in his spell casting, only to find out there was plenty wrong he could do. In fact, there was even worse things he could do. Now, the major co-star for this movie is in fact Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. And here come the big spoilers, because Wanda is the villain of this movie. Now, you do kind of have to watch WandaVision to understand why this is. But in WandaVision, Wanda ended up very much consumed within her grief, creating this kind of idyllic life in a town called Westville, but also enslaving several people. And while at first it was an accident, she kind of just goes with it after a certain point. But she also ends up manipulated by this one witch named Agatha Harkness. But Wanda manages to overcome Agatha and manages to undo everything she'd done, including the two sons she created, as well as Vision, who she had kind of resurrected to a certain degree. However, she ends up finding this thing called the Darkhold that Agatha had, and instead of doing away with it, Wanda decides to kind of use it. And the major thing in this movie that really needs to be made clear is that the Darkhold is said on multiple occasions to warp people's perspectives, and that's what happens to Wanda. You even see it with Doctor Strange in the movie. Using the Darkhold too much corrupts people to their worst possible aspects, and that's what happens to Wanda. You find out that the various monsters that have been chasing America Chavez were sent by Wanda. When Strange and Wong try to protect America Chavez in the mystical city of Carmartage, she unleashes an assault that kills several people. Like, Wanda tears her way through the multiverse, even possessing an alternate version of herself, and just wreaking all kinds of havoc. Wanda becomes a movie monster in this movie. She is powerful, she is terrifying, and I kind of loved it to a certain degree. Part of me was still kind of sad that this is what becomes of Wanda, and there never ends up being a real way around it, because she ends up going to Mount Wundagore, where the original Darkhold was inscribed on behalf of an entity called Chthon, and Wanda gets very close to obtaining America Chavez's powers, and she keeps trying to justify what she's doing as she just wants her sons. You know, America Chavez can't handle her powers, and she be just turned over to her. She can use them to the best benefit. When she gets her sons, they'll never know what she had done, and this, that, and the other. Ultimately, it takes America opening a portal to another world and having Wanda come face to face with alternate versions of her sons and having them see the monster that she's become. And it's in that moment that she's able to kind of come back to her senses and just realize the evil that she's done. And so she destroys Mount Wundagore with her inside, destroying the Darkhold throughout the multiverse somehow. I kind of question that to a certain degree. Of like, how does destroying one place destroy it throughout the multiverse? Maybe it's a spell she cast at the same time when she was destroying Mount Wundagore? That's never made fully clear, at least as far as I know. You know, it was cool seeing Wanda just lose it, but at the same time it was sad to potentially have her character written off like this, especially after WandaVision. It just kind of feels like, I mean, is this the end of her character? Is this it? Is she never to be a hero, always to be seen as a villain? Because the stuff she did at Westview showed a compromise in her morality, yes. But what happened with the Darkhold, she was under the influence of something. And I don't know, it's very sad if this is the way her character goes out, if we never see her again. Like, does she really never get to atone for any of this? But this was an amazing performance by Elizabeth Olsen. Benedict Cumberbatch's Strange did a phenomenal job, but Elizabeth Olsen was the main event of this movie. She really killed it. Now, with Carl Mordo, his appearance, the trailer made it seem like he was going to be a lot more involved in things. No, he's just there in one reality, the reality where Strange had supposedly died a hero, and he's the one to capture Strange and Chavez when they're flung through the multiverse, welcoming them as a friend at first, only to turn them over to the Illuminati. And they have a brief scuffle here and there, but Carl Mordo is such a kind of non-entity in this movie, which is depressing to a certain degree because the original Doctor Strange movie really bolstered him up as being this involved entity, only for Yo, Chiwetel Ejiofor not to really have too much to do in this sequel. Now, Wong has plenty to do, especially because he is now the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth 616. Quote unquote, but Wong is in command of Carbotage. He helps out Strange. He gets captured by the Scarlet Witch and forced to lead her to Mount Wundagore. He battles it out towards the end of the movie. Like, Wong had so much to do in this movie. Like, Wong is a G. And I'm so glad he didn't die in this movie, like, seriously. But the way Wong led Carbotage is just like, no, Wong kind of makes a better Sorcerer Supreme than Strange. Like, get me wrong, Strange is very powerful and very capable, but Wong just makes a better leader. Like, that's the thing. Wong just makes a better leader as a whole. And he's always a delight in these movies. I love Wong. Wong is such an amazing character. Now, when it comes to America Chavez, as a fan of hers in the comics, this is kind of a bit of a downgrade in terms of her personality. Don't get me wrong, Xochitl Gomez does the best she possibly can, but the way she's been told to play this character makes her the innocent kid sidekick who needs help. She's very apprehensive of her powers because she lost her moms. Yes, America Chavez has 2 moms, that's even in the comics, deal with it. And she's fearful of her own power. I mean, as she kind of rightly should be. But I don't know. I'm so used to America Chavez being such an unabashedly proud character who just believes in herself wholeheartedly and is just such a kick-ass, take charge kind of character, sometimes to her own detriment. And I always kind of felt like with Xochitl Gomez, because she was so young, she was going to come off a little too innocent, and that's kind of what happens here. Again, the performance is not bad. It's completely serviceable to the movie, but it just really kind of sucks that America doesn't have any real agency until you get further towards the end of things. Although there are some moments where she shows off a little bit of confidence when navigating Strange through the multiverse. There's just some fun moments here and there. And I do look forward to seeing this character in other things. And my hope is that later down the line we'll see this character become just even more of a badass once she starts to get a better hold on her powers. It's interesting to see Strange become a bit of a mentor to her character, and it really does leave me wondering what's next for the 2 of them. So again, not a bad performance, just had a bit to be desired here and there. And now with Christy Palmer, outside of the wedding, it's an alternate version of Christy that becomes majorly involved. In the dimension of the Illuminati, it's obvious that in her world she was on the outs with Strange, especially when he did the whole Darkhold thing, so she has a hard time trusting our Doctor Strange. But they really did give Rachel McAdams a lot more to do in this movie. She's a lot more knowledgeable about sorcery as well as technology. There are plenty of times where she has to kind of decide whether or not she should trust Strange, whether or not he's just as bad as her Strange. She gets some really fun scenes here and there, helping to keep Doctor Strange's body safe when he's, dream walking into his dead body. She gets a fun little moment that's very Evil Dead. But past this, I don't know if Rachel McAdams as Christy Palmer will return in the future, because I don't know what other interesting things you can really do with the character after this point. Now, the Illuminati, they were interesting, but they kind of fall into alternate reality situation where alternate reality counterparts are never as capable as their main counterparts. This was more of a tease of what we could see within the regular universe, as when Strange is presented to the Illuminati, at first we see Haley Atwell as Captain Carter, which was pretty awesome, I won't lie. seeing her in the uniform and throwing down here and there, she was really kind of cool and really made me think like, man, this was great, especially after watching What If? So I guess that kind of makes it another thing you kind of have to watch to a certain degree. Not completely. They're very one-off. But getting to see Captain Carter kind of throw down, Haley Atwell, I love that she keeps coming back for MCU stuff. She is an absolute treasure. Lashana Lynch comes back as Maria Rambeau in as most people guessed it, she becomes Captain Marvel in her universe, which was pretty good, She plays it almost exactly like Brie Larson. Like, that attitude, like, oof. But then again, they were friends and all that, but it's fascinating. It makes me wonder, did Carol Danvers end up settling down and having a family in her universe? But yeah, she's pretty powerful and has some great moments, but they're just no match for the Scarlet Witch by the end of things. A surprise for me that really took me off guard was Anson Mount coming in as Black Bolt, actually reprising his role from the Inhuman series, which, I mean, it wasn't a great series, but Anson Mount wasn't bad in the role. Like, he did it pretty well enough, so might as well bring him back. And, he came off as Black Bolt, and you got to see his voice work as he was the one who eliminated his universe's Doctor Strange, and it was pretty cool, all things considered. Although the way he dies is, honestly, the way Wanda takes out Black Bolt and Captain Carter were particularly brutal. Like, whoa! Sam Raimi was getting away with a lot of stuff there. But with Anson Mount being able to come back as Black Bolt in this series, it really does make me wonder if, he will reprise his role in the main MCU timeline. And since they did that for Inhumans, which, it also makes me wonder if Finn Jones would appear as Iron Fist in maybe a Shang-Chi sequel or something else later down the line. And the one thing that really took me off guard was the fan casting came true. Jonathan Krasinski as Reed Richards. Honestly, I just want to see him in a Fantastic Four movie. It's just like, yeah, okay, this was pretty good. This was pretty good casting. I am ready for that legit Fantastic Four movie. Because they only do so much with his character. It is very much a cameo. But he has this softness to his character in the role. He feels like a very warm character. I feel like I would love to see him leading a movie. So I'm very much intrigued by seeing this. I'm glad this came true. And last but not least, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. Oh, he had some meaty parts. He had some meaty parts for a cameo. He's pretty much the only one on Stephen's side when he's on trial with the Illuminati. He advises Strange on where to go to try to get the Book of the Vishanti, to battle the power of the Darkhold. He tries to go into the alternate Wanda's mind when she's being possessed by our Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, and his death scene is, that one, I'll see that in my nightmares. Jesus. And it did suck seeing him die, but at the same time, it was so great to see him in the hover chair and just doing his thing. Such fan service. Such fan service. I'm always glad that Patrick Stewart will just return to this role from time to time. But the Illuminati just die off, and that's kind of what alternate reality versions of heroes do. They never last as long as their main universe counterparts. Like, you from an alternate universe, congratulations, you're a red shirt. I mean, hell, again, just watch What If. That's many times as Tony Stark dies in that series. It is something else. Also, one thing I will say, Rintrah the Minotaur, man, they kept having stuff and promotions, making it seem like he was more involved with this. He's just there. He's literally just there to have something cool visually to see. I don't think they even call him by name. And Gargantos, it's probably for the best that they called him that instead of Shumagorath, because, I mean, he was just a monster commanded by Wanda. Also, Bruce Campbell's appearance as Pizza Papa. That was cute. That was cute. Gotta have that Bruce Campbell cameo. But the last little bit of cool moment was the appearance of Clea, played by Charlize Theron. It was just like, oh snap, it's Clea, which would have been a really great surprise if I hadn't been spoiled by it by one reviewer I watch it putting them in the thumbnail, like literally the back of their head, and I'm just like, she's so recognizable because she has white hair and a purple outfit. Like, god damn it. And it was literally the day before I went to go see the movie. The day before. I was so mad. The one thing that I wasn't spoiled on in terms of anything else, and I was spoiled by a thumbnail. But despite that, it was cool kind of seeing that, because they kept emphasizing Strange's loneliness, Strange just being by himself, Strange not having anyone, his longing for Christine to a certain degree. Because why did the one Strange who had the Darkhold become so corrupt? Because he wanted to see if in a universe maybe he ended up with Christine. Call back to What If, where there's a whole kind of timeline where Strange loses Christine and he kind of goes insane. And the outfit was kind of gorgeous. She had this kind of fun, ethereal look to her, and I really just kind of want to see more. Like, the moment she popped up, I'm just like, dang, I really kind of want to see more of this. Because, I don't know, the way her outfit looked, like she looked like she could just command a scene. Like, Charlize Theron is just a beautiful lady. And I would just really be down for seeing her, you know, opposite Benedict Cumberbatch's Strange. Like, the moment she popped up on the scene, it was just like, damn, I'm fascinated to see how well these two could work together. And I'm kind of disappointed because it's just like, man, it's gonna be a while before we see a reappearance by her. I kind of want it now. And she comes to Strange and tells him, you done hecked up, you've caused an incursion, this world and another one are going to collide with each other, come with me if you want to save the multiverse. As she rips open a portal to the dark dimension, because, spoilers, she is the child of the dread Dormammu, which makes the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch played Dormammu in the previous Doctor Strange hilarious to a certain degree. But in the comics, they get married, so it's just very much a situation of, your daughter calls me daddy too. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm already looking forward to a sequel, like Doctor Strange 3. Give it to me. I want to see it. My hope is that they'll finally do something with Nightmare. And my hope is that I'll see Strange and Clea appear in a cameo in something else. And we'll see that they've been working together for a little bit of time, growing a little bit closer. And then the next Strange movie, maybe they'll get married. But I personally, I'm kind of hoping Sam Raimi comes back and does another Doctor Strange. If he doesn't, okay, but I don't know, I had a lot of fun with this one. There were plenty of silly moments, serious moments, sad moments, cool moments. Is it the highest form of art in all the land? Oh no. It has a host of flaws here and there, but I don't really care. I had fun. Like, that's all it really comes down to. I had a lot of fun. If you're mad that you might have to go and watch 2 series in order to get the full understanding of all of this, well, kind of 2 series, I really don't feel like you have to watch What If. Just WandaVision, and it's just like, oh, boo-hoo, a few hours of television. And all you really need to know is Wanda found the Darkhold, and it preyed upon her. bada bing, bada boom. Like, seriously, my only real gripe is that I want more. I want to know if this is the end for Wanda, which would be kind of sad. I want to see Strange and Clea work together, because that's pretty cool. And I'm curious where America Chavez is going to pop up next. That was literally my only thoughts coming out of the movies. Like, what happens next? What's the next chapter for these characters? So there you go. I had a ton of fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for whatever movie review I decide to do next. And I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye!